Lord Krishna. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Shri Shri Radha Vrindavan Chandrodaya ki jai. Shri Shri Nitai Gauranga ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So today's session will be a sequel of what we discussed in a previous session, and a very interesting topic. This topic is called Krishna Consciousness, Hindu Cult or Divine Culture. Right? So basically, people misunderstand Krishna Consciousness movement as sectarian or following some specific faith, or it's Hindu religion. That way people misunderstand, the misconception like that. Basically, when even Prabhupada was propagating this Krishna Consciousness movement, both inside and outside of India, people were thinking that they are preaching Hindu religion, actually. So, but actually we are not preaching Hindu religion. Prabhupada wanted to clarify this point. So in that way, Prabhupada has wonderfully explained to us in the first part about what is Krishna Consciousness movement actually, right? So we'll just have a short recap of what we understood in our previous session and continue with our today's session and conclude the session, conclude the understanding. Krishna Consciousness, Hindu Cult or Divine Culture. And the teachings what we are having is all inspired by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, founder Acharya of the worldwide Hare Krishna movement, Iskcon, who has so mercifully given us these Vedic conclusions for our proper understanding and following in our day-to-day lives. So in the previous session on the same subject, we discussed on the origin of the word Hindu. There is no such mention of the word Hindu either in Bhagavad Gita or the entire Vedic literature. So where is this word Hindu come about from? Prabhupada explains the Muslims adjacent to the various Muslims in the adjacent nations, countries of India, like Afghanistan, Balochistan, Persia. They have coined this word. And how it came about? There's a river which is called Sindhu, bordering the northwestern provinces of India. And since the Muslims of this part of this world cannot pronounce Sindhu as Sindhu, they would pronounce it as Hindu. So the people living on this side of the land of river Sindhu, they were called as Hindus. That's how this word Hindu word has been come about. Just like in India also, according to Vedic culture, the Europeans and the other different people from other parts of the world, they are called Mlechas and Yavanas. Right? Similarly, the Muslims have coined the word Hindu for people who are living on this part of the river Sindhu. That is the origin of this word Hindu. And we also discussed on one more wonderful topic. What is actually the Indian culture? Indian culture is called Varnashrama Dharma as explained in the Bhagavad Gita. Right? So Bhagavad Gita explains that the whole society is divided into 4 social orders and 4 spiritual orders. The system of social and spiritual division is known as Varnashrama Dharma. Varna Ashram. 4 Varnas means the 4 social orders. Society is divided into 4 social orders known as Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. And society also is divided into 4 ashramas or spiritual orders called Brahmachari, Grahastha, Vanaprastha and Sannyasa. So this description of Varnashrama is elaborately given in all the Vedic literatures. Bhagavad Gita, Krishna also speaks about it. Krishna says, I have created this. Because Krishna is God himself. He is telling that society is, the different divisions in society is created by me. And what is the purpose of this Varnashrama? The goal of the Varnashrama is to educate every person, every human being, for the advancement in knowledge about who he is, what is the purpose of life, and what is the goal of life. The goal of life, as Bhagavad Gita clearly says, is to reach the supreme spiritual abode of Lord Krishna. So that is the entire Vedic program actually. In fact, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also, when he met one wonderful devotee by name Ramananda Rai, he asked this question, what is the basic principle of human life? For which Ramananda Rai said, human civilization begins when human society accepts Varnashrama. Which means, if the human society is not following the principles of Varnashrama Dharma, they are not even humans. Just see. That is what is the present situation right now. So Prabhupada says that Krishna Consciousness movement is trying to establish the right system of civilization to the modern day people, which is known as Krishna Consciousness, or in a more technical language in Sanskrit, it is called Daiva Varnashrama. So basically, Prabhupada wanted to say that this Krishna Consciousness is not a sect or a cult. It is rather the cultural educational movement for the entire human society. And it is meant for everybody. Anybody in any part of the world can follow. We understood this one. And next, we also understood how in the present day context, Daiva Varnashrama is basically the way of conducting ourselves in the present context as per the directions given by Bhagavad Gita and other scriptures. And we also understood how in the present day context, the Varnashrama system itself is misused. Right? How it is misused? Because people claim that I belong to this family, I belong to this heredity, I am born in this family of Brahmanas, I am a Brahman. So birthright is become a claim to say that I belong to this Varna, I belong to this particular, say, social order. But this is not the actual, Varnashrama system. Varnashrama system is never by birth. Krishna always cleared in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna said, Varnashrama division is basically based on the quality of work. It's like in society, there are doctors, engineers, businessmen from different backgrounds. We never ask when you go to a doctor, what is your religion or what is your caste, right? He has been qualified as a doctor by the regular systematic training. That's why we recognize him as a doctor. Likewise, Varnashrama divisions of society as social divisions or spiritual divisions is not based on birth, whereas the modern day context of Varnashrama is, in the India especially, it is a perverted way wherein birth is supposed to be or claimed to be very important. And all this is happening, why? Because in the present day Indian society or Hindu society, we are under the influence of Shankaracharya's teachings. Right? We'll understand what Shankaracharya taught us. Shankaracharya, he taught that ultimately absolute truth is impersonal. and he denied the existence of God. Okay. So why did Shankaracharya come and preach, and what philosophy he preached? We'll try to briefly understand. Shankaracharya introduced a system of philosophy known as Mayavada. And why did he introduce Mayavada? Because at that time, in Indian society especially, the influence of Vedic literatures was completely forgotten. Because Lord Buddha appeared 2,500 years ago, when people were misusing Vedic understanding and were rampantly killing animals. So Krishna had to appear as Lord Buddha, and first and foremost, what he did to stop this animal killing, which is just going on recklessly, he first and foremost said, "I reject Vedas." And this particular cult of Buddha, known as Buddhism, was patronized by Emperor Ashoka. And whatever is patronized by kings or the government, very soon it becomes the part of everybody's life. So in that way, practically speaking, whole of India accepted Buddhism. So there was a necessity for reintroducing the Vedic influence or Vedic literatures back in society. So Lord Krishna ordered Lord Shiva, who appeared as Shankaracharya, to re-establish the Vedic literatures in society. And Shankaracharya's only aim was to drive away Buddha's philosophy of Shunyavada, or what is known as voidism. And he introduced a system called Mayavada. And what is Mayavada? Mayavada, strictly speaking, is another version of Buddhism only. It is an atheistic philosophy, wherein you can imagine a God according to your own conception. What does Mayavadi philosophy say? Mayavadi philosophy says that actually there is no God. And if there is God at all, if he exists, then he doesn't have a form. He's impersonal. Or he's all-pervading. He's everywhere. And therefore, you can imagine any form. This is the new twist which Shankaracharya gave in order to introduce Vedic literatures to society. And basically, this is not in Vedic literatures, but Vedic literatures were used to propagate this type of a philosophy. That's why it's called as Mayavada. Mayavada means it's actually not what is present in Vedic literatures is not the fact. Something else is being taken out as a meaning, and then it is being presented in this way. So Mayavada philosophy outrightly denies the existence of God or demigods or devatas. Ultimately, Mayavadis also say you are impersonal. Impersonal is indirectly telling that it is zero. Nothing is there. Right? So, the Mayavadis take the common way of worship, which people generally common man worship, like they worship Durga, Lord Shiva, or Sun God, or Ganesha, or Lord Vishnu. And they think you can imagine any form and you can do worship, and finally God is impersonal. Mayavadis say because you cannot concentrate your mind on the impersonal aspect of God, so you can imagine any of these forms, the forms of different personalities like Vishnu, Sun God, Durga, Shiva, or Ganesha. This is called Panchopasana. And such philosophies or doctrines are never mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. That's why they're not authoritative. Rather, Bhagavad Gita gives us a very detailed description of the existence of devatas, and Krishna openly condemns the worship of devatas. And he also says people who are carried away by the desires, material desires, they worship devatas. And Krishna, in fact, says that if your mind is too much attached to opulence, sense gratification, and like this, then your mind will never be fixed to focus on the worship of Lord Krishna. So in fact, Krishna also mentions that the results obtained from worshipping these devatas is temporary, and the people who worship devatas are all having smaller intelligence, or their intelligence is dull. This is the words which Krishna uses in Bhagavad Gita. So basically, the Mayavada philosophy is trying to give an understanding wherein actually there is no God. If God exists, it is impersonal, or it is all-pervading, and you can imagine any form. So this way of Mayavada understanding has actually distorted the whole fabric of Indian culture. The Varnashrama has been completely distorted, and it is presented in a way that you are born in a particular family means you are that. You are born in a doctor family, so you are also doctor. That is the way it is being presented. So let's move forward with our discussions now. Continue. Right. So Bhagavad Gita's explanation about devatas, I already spoke. Now, Prabhupada further explains about the different atheistic and demoniac theories also have come out, because as Kali Yuga progresses, as age advances, different types of people want to bring in their own type of understanding and want to screw out some meaning from the scriptures and present their own theories. So there are many atheistic and demoniac theories in the present context. So Prabhupada explains about them. But Prabhupada again gives us a instruction that people should not think that we in Krishna Consciousness is preaching a sectarian religion. No, we are not preaching any sectarian religion. Rather, our only philosophy is that we are preaching people how to love God. That is our philosophy. So there are many theories about the existence of God. Different scientists, different thinkers, different philosophers over last a few 200 years, they come about with many theories. It's like the atheist, for example, they never believe in God. A famous example of an atheist is Professor Jacques Monod. He openly declared himself as an atheist, and who won the Nobel Prize. He has a philosophy or a theory known as the chance theory. And everything happens by chance. This theory was put forward long ago in India by atheistic philosophers like Charvaka Muni. Charvaka Muni's philosophy was that Bhasmibhutasya dehasya kuto punaragamano bhavet. Yavat jivet sukhot jivet. As long as you are alive, you live happily, nicely. And happily, nicely, as per Vedic culture, means you have to eat food which is made of ghee. And if you cannot afford to purchase ghee, you can beg, borrow, steal. No problem. And happily live like this, because at the end of the life, what happens to your life, nobody knows, because finally everything is dissolved in the whole cosmic manifestation. Everything becomes fire and ashes. Bhasmibhutasya dehasya. Your body becomes ash. Nobody's seen what is next life. This is the modern day philosophy also. Right? This is what Charvaka Muni told many thousands of years ago, which means atheism was prevalent very much in society from time immemorial, from ages. So this Nobel laureate, Professor Jacques Monod, has propagated this theory called chance theory. Right? What is chance theory? Prabhupada explains further very nicely. And there are also philosophies called the Karma Mimamsa philosophy. Right? Karma Mimamsa philosophy means you accept that if you go on working nicely, honestly, automatically the result will come without need for one to refer God. Again, this Karma Mimamsa philosophy is propagated by one Rishi by name Jaimini Rishi in the Vedic understanding. He took out some teachings, and he presented his own philosophy. That you go on working hard, results should come. As though results will come automatically. Right? It's like many students appear for the examination. They go on studying nicely. So they will pass the exam or they'll get very high ranking. Right? So this is like, it's like a machine which is working in the nature. But they miss out the point, who has set up this machine and who is awarding the results. This aspect of identifying the controller is missing. So this is what Karma Mimamsa philosophy says, that things will go on, things are like this, that way thing, and the Karma Mimamsa philosophy says. So the atheistic philosophy or the Karma Mimamsa philosophy. So Prabhupada gives examples. For evidence, the proponents of such theories cite the argument that if one is diseased with an infection and takes medicine to counteract it, the disease will be neutralized. So generally what we do when we are not well, or we are having some ailment, we go to a doctor, we take some treatment, and so the philosophy, the atheistic philosophy, the Karma Mimamsa philosophy is that just take the medicine and you are cured. So if that is the case, then doctors would have cured all the diseases, and doctors would have also, in fact, found out medicine for not dying. Why it is not happening? This is the point. So they think everything is automatic, systematic. Everything is happening by nature. By nature, when you say, you should also understand that nature is under somebody's control. If the sun is rising every day on time, if the seasons are changing systematically, during summer, particular types of fruits, vegetables, and flowers come out. Right, winter, some other type of fruits and vegetables come out. If all is happening so systematically, do you say it is just happening by chance, or it is happening just by nature with no controller? That is wrong philosophy. Right? That is what the modern day scientists want to present to the people, and they want to mislead people in this way. That is what is going on right now. The Prabhupada wants to point out this aspect. The fallacies or the mistakes in the modern day society. So Prabhupada says our argument in this connection is that even if one gives a man the best medicine, still he may die. The best of the best doctors, best medicine, but what is the guarantee that the person will be fully cured or he will not die? No guarantee. There is some higher control which we have to understand. So the results are not always predictable with whatever activities we are doing. Therefore, there is a higher authority, Daiva Netrena, a supreme director. This is what Vedic scriptures tell us. Every action, everything what we do is all controlled, is all monitored by Lord Krishna. Again, you desire and Krishna sanctions based on what you deserve. That is the philosophy which Bhagavad Gita explains. Otherwise, Prabhupada very nicely explains, otherwise, how is it that the son of a rich and pious man becomes a hippie in the street, or that a man who works very hard and becomes rich is told by his doctor, now you may not eat any food, but only barley water. Right? Prabhupada is mentioning all these things because what he is seeing in the present situation during his time, he is just putting those examples, like how hippie means they don't have any conventions to be followed, no social or spiritual regulations to be followed, just want to live life in a free way, in their own way. Right? That is called hippie life. No regulations in life. No, whatever I want, I will do. That is called hippie life. So Prabhupada is saying, if that is the case, why a rich man's son is becoming hippie, or why a person who has worked very hard and become rich, and he can eat anything, but doctor is telling him, oh, you cannot eat this, you cannot eat that, you've got diabetes, you cannot eat sugar, like this. Why these regulations come out? So somebody must be controlling and managing all these aspects with everybody's life. This is the point Prabhupada is trying to make here. So the Karma Mimamsa theory holds that the world is going on without the supreme direction of God. Right? The Karma Mimamsa philosophy is other way of atheism. Is telling that no controller is there. This is what exactly Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, that these atheists or the demons propagate such philosophies and theories. They say that everything takes place by lust. Kama haitukam. It's called demoniac and atheistic theories. They say by lust a man becomes attracted to a woman, and by chance there is sex, and the woman becomes pregnant. Right? Chance theory. Everything happens by chance. And there's actually no plan to make the woman pregnant, but by a natural sequence, when a man and a woman unite, result is produced. Like this, they come out with theories and understandings. The atheistic theory, which is described in the 16th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita as asuric or demoniac, is that actually everything is going on in this way because of chance and resulting from natural attraction. So this is the fallacy of the present day society, wherein Bhagavad Gita Krishna says that asatyam apratishtham te jagadahuranishwaram. This world has no foundation. This world is based on untruth, and this world has no controller. And a man and woman come together, they unite, and there is birth of a child, as though everything is happening automatically. This is the atheistic philosophy or the demoniac philosophy. Right? So Bhagavad Gita clearly Krishna explains, because the demons want to deny the existence of God. They want to say there is no God. God is dead, or I have become God. This is the philosophy they propagate. So in order to support their understanding, they say all such false things, which is not based on any authority. They themselves become authorities. That is what is going on in the present day context. So all such theories and philosophies have actually distorted the Vedic fabric of the Indian society right now. This demoniac theory also supports the idea that if one wants to avoid children, he may use a contraceptive method. Right? Actually, scriptures say that you're trying to stop something which is actually as ordered by Krishna, then you are actually becoming a sort of an obstacle in the way of working for Krishna. You are actually going against the laws of nature. The laws of nature are controlled by Krishna himself. So when you do this, we are going against laws of nature, then that is demoniac, asuric. Just like in the modern day context, people think we can have freely sex life. Just like the modern day society thinks we need not have any marriage system and become bound by this marriage ties. Let us have a free, permissive society. Man meets a woman, woman meets a man, and then you can have sex anytime. And if there is, just to avoid pregnancy, you can use different contraceptive methods. And to propagate this and to encourage this, there are so many types of scientists and the doctors are all having big businesses going on. Right? And to see that the medicines are manufactured, the pharmaceutical industry is thriving for this. Just to see that the tendency for you to enjoy the material world is kept intact. Just see what is all going on. This is called asuric civilization or demoniac civilization. So Prabhupada is pointing out that point. And the demoniac theory supports the idea that if one wants to avoid children, he may use a contraceptive method. What is the Vedic plan for human birth? Human childbirth. This Vedic plan is called as Garbhadhana Samskara. Right? What does it say? And there's a great plan for everything. The husband and wife, even before conceiving a child, they plan when to conceive the child. And it is not that a child can be conceived just like how the animals beget their children. No. the whole planning begins from the before even conception. The man and the woman are mentally preparing themselves. Because what type of mentality you have during conception, that type of child is born. We have example in the Bhagavata about how when Kashyapa Muni and his wife Diti, Diti was sexually agitated and she wanted to enjoy sex life with her husband Kashyapa Muni in a very unusual time. Kashyapa Muni warned his wife not to proceed further, but she was very insisting. And because of this, there were two great demons born. Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha were great terrors for the whole universe. In the present day context, because people are not having any such family planning. The family planning doesn't mean, in the modern day context, family planning means, oh, you have only one child, after that don't have child. And you can go on having sex. No, that is not the way. Family planning means even to have a child, the husband and wife have to plan with the proper spiritual mentality, because that is what is going to. This is the Vedic way of planning of a child. So it is very nicely explained. Prabhupada further mentions the Vedic literature gives directions regarding how men and women should unite, how they should beget children, and what is the purpose of sex life. Right? Sex life is not like how animals have anytime, every time. We also can have sex life. There is no, that is not the way. Sex life should be regulated. And the purpose of sex life is to get good children so that the parents can train them to take up spirituality, become God conscious, and complete their human life, make their human life perfect. That is the purpose. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, a sex life sanctioned by the Vedic order, or sex life under the direction of Vedic rules and regulations, is bona fide and acceptable by him. Krishna says this, that dharma aviruddha bhuteshu kamosmi bharatashrava. Right? That sex life which is as per dharma principles. Krishna says, I am that. As per Vedic principles means the proper married couple, they beget children with proper rules, regulations, and the purpose of begetting children is to train the children, because as family, you are supposed to have children. The children who come out should be trained in perfecting their human life so that they again don't come back in the cycle of birth and death. The scriptures say that if you cannot take this responsibility of relieving or giving the direction to your subordinates to from the cycle of birth and death, then don't take up this responsibility of becoming a father, becoming a mother, becoming a teacher, becoming a guardian. No. That is the level of strict instruction which these scriptures give us. So further, Prabhupada explains. So, but this chance sex life is not acceptable. Right? Presently, people think, oh, we can just enjoy sex life, but it's very implicating and very entangling. People don't know. If by chance one is sexually attracted and there are children, they are called Varna Sankara or unwanted population. This is what Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita. At the very beginning, Arjuna had this great concern. If the men in the battlefield are killed, then the women become polluted. And the population which comes out of it is called unwanted population or Varna Sankara. There is no proper marriage understanding, marriage arrangement, and just women freely mix with men, men freely mix with women, children born out of such mixing without any regulations is called Varna Sankara or unwanted population. Right? Present day society is having such population. Children don't know who is my father, who is my mother. Right? That, like these things are going on. So this is the reason for the present day society going in a very negative way or a demoniac way. Prabhupada further explains. That is the way of the lower animals. It is not acceptable for for humans. Animals don't have this marriage arrangement. They go on with their life having sex with anybody, any animal, any other animal, same species. Humans, if they go like this, they'll be considered as animals. Just like Prabhupada gives example of a hog, pig. Pig, it doesn't discriminate with whom to have sex. It can have sex with its own mother, with his own daughter, his own sister, no problem. That's what the present day society also feels. Oh, it's no issues, no problem. Just don't have sex. So like this, we are degrading ourselves to animal level, animal platform. It is not the way the humans are supposed to conduct themselves. So Prabhupada further explains. For humans, there is a plan. There's a Vedic plan. We cannot live a life like animals. So Prabhupada always wanted to say, if you simply eat, sleep, mate, and defend like animals, you and animal, no difference. Human and animal, no difference. You need to have regulations in all these aspects of eating, sleeping, mating, defending. We cannot accept the theory that there is no plan for human life, or that everything is born of chance and material necessity. This chance theory is completely rejected in the Bhagavad Gita and Vedic scriptures. Right? People right now think that everything is just we can do whatever we want. That is not the way. Human life should be under proper regulations. Purpose is to see that the human life is perfected with regard to the very purpose of being in the material world, to come out of the cycle of birth and death. That is the purpose. That is not there, then it is all condemned. So Prabhupada takes this opportunity to explain that how caste by birth is condemned in all Vedic literatures. Whereas this is what is a present day situation scenario in the modern day context of India. Sorry. Shankaracharya's theory that there is no God, that one can go on with his work and imagine God in any form, just to keep peace and tranquility in society, is more or less based on the idea of chance and necessity. Right? So, whatever the modern day scientists or thinkers are coming out with different philosophies, Shankaracharya already has propagated this. Right? So, it is more or less like a chance theory or necessity theory, which the Mayavada philosophy is talking. Our way, however, which is completely different, is based on authority. Our way means, Prabhupada says, Krishna Consciousness movement is based on authority. Who is authority? Lord Krishna, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is our authority. So in the Daiva Varnashrama Dharma, Krishna recommends not the caste system as it is presently followed by people. Rather, it is based on the center being Krishna, and everybody has to work for Krishna. Whatever status, social status is in, whatever spiritual status is in, all work towards one goal of satisfying Krishna. That is the Daiva Varnashrama. This modern caste system is now condemned in India also, and it should be condemned. For the classification of different types of men according to birth is not the Vedic or divine caste system. Right? Present day, the Indian society is all divided so much just by birth. Oh, you're called this, you're called that, and you have reservations, you have these facilities, that. So all these things are actually dividing the whole society, and all this is all completely politically motivated, and all have some agenda for doing all these things. So like this, the reservations, all these things are spoil the whole way of working in the modern day context. Prabhupada further explains that how in the society there are many classes of men. Some are engineers, some are medical practitioners, some are chemists, tradesmen, businessmen, and so on and so on. And we see many types of people in society. These varieties of classes are not to be determined by birth, however, but by quality. Just like I gave the example, somebody is born of a doctor couple. The child is not called a doctor immediately. The child has to go through training of a doctor. And if he doesn't want to become doctor, fine. He can become something else. Right? That's how it is. Whereas the modern day society, in Indian society, what is happening is caste by birth system is being followed, which is not sanctioned by any Vedic literatures. Right? We have nothing to do with the caste system, which is also at present being rejected with the public in India. Even the public is not happy. Actually speaking, there's so many fallacies, so many defects in this whole system. Actually, originally it is called Varnashrama, but that is being watered down, or it is being distorted or pervertedly presented in the present day context to suit somebody else's requirements. Rather, Prabhupada says, we give everyone the chance to become Brahmana and thus attain the highest status of life. Brahmana again doesn't mean a caste, it means the social status of one who is intelligent, who wants to understand the various books of Vedic wisdom and want to give this knowledge to everyone. That is called a Brahmana. It's like a teacher. Because at the present moment, there is a scarcity of Brahmanas, who are known as spiritual guides, Kshatriyas, administrative men, and, Prabhupada says, because the entire world is being ruled by Shudras or men of labor, manual labor class, there are so many discrepancies in society. The whole Varnashrama is topsy-turvy in the present day situation. Right? There is no brain. Now, what is the purpose of life? How we should move forward? Nobody knows. Now, all are guided by the men of manual labor. Means they're all workers, right? They don't have the understanding what the purpose of life, the goal of life is lacking. It is to mitigate all these discrepancies that we have taken to this Krishna consciousness movement. Very nicely, Prabhupada is giving out the point. So ours is not a religion or a sect. It is rather a cultural movement meant to educate people about the essential aspect of life. There are a lot of discrepancies in society right now. So we have taken up this Krishna consciousness movement to whatever best possible way, try to help people to follow the right path in their life. If the Brahmana class is actually established, other orders of social well-being will automatically follow. Again, when you say Brahmana, I do not misunderstand. Brahmana is not a caste. Brahmana means the qualifications. The qualifications of a Brahmana is explained by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. He says, one who has control over mind, control over senses, who is honest, who is simple in his living, right? And who understands the Vedic wisdom, and who teaches this to everybody else, he's called a Brahmana, right? So Brahmana means he's qualified as a spiritual guide. Direction in society is required. That is what Brahmana means. So further, Prabhupada explains, just as when the brain is perfectly in order, the other parts of the body, such as the arms, belly, and the legs, are all acting very nicely. A very wonderful example. If the brain is in order, which means person is sane, he's not mad, not crazy, then everything else will be in proper order. If the person is mad or crazy, insane, then you may have all the other parts of your body working properly, but because you don't have proper direction, the society is misled, or the body is not working properly. Body is not properly directed for the right, meaningful action. The Prabhupada explains what is actually Krishna consciousness and what is it wanting to deliver to the entire world. Prabhupada calls Krishna consciousness as a spiritual culture of the spirit soul. We're almost coming to the conclusion of our session. Prabhupada says the ultimate goal of this movement is to educate people how to love God. This movement means Krishna Consciousness movement, Iskcon movement, Hare Krishna movement is meant to educate people how to love God, because all of us are part and parcel of God. We belong to God and we are supposed to love God. Just like I love my different body parts because it's my body, part of my body. Likewise, they're all part and parcel of God, Krishna. We're supposed to love God, Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu approves the conclusion that the highest perfection of human life is to learn how to love God. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Lord Krishna himself. He has come down to propagate this important teaching to everybody that we only have to, this is the purpose of life. Whatever you do, finally you have to love God. And if anything else you're doing and you're not able to love God, then that system you have to reject. Adopt a system which will help you to love God. If you start hating some other person, other community, other people, then you're not actually moving forward or progressing properly. So Prabhupada clarifies, the Krishna Consciousness movement has nothing to do with the Hindu religion or any system of religion. Again, Prabhupada is reiterating the point that it is not sectarian or it is not a religion or a cult. It is a spiritual culture, a divine culture. No Christian gentleman will be interested in changing his faith from Christian to Hindu. Or rather, no Hindu gentleman of culture will be ready to change the Christian faith. Now, Prabhupada is saying all these things. Why? Because Prabhupada went to the Western countries to preach this message of divine culture, spiritual culture. And people of different faiths, Christian, Muslim, Jewish, so many different faiths, they all openly welcomed Prabhupada's teachings because it was so convincing, so logical, so reasonable, that everybody accepted. That's the point. Because this is something which is appealing to the heart, appealing to the soul. Every other thing is only sort of, as Prabhupada says, a rubber stamp. Right? I am a Hindu, I am a Christian, I am a Muslim. It's a rubber stamp, but actually you don't know what is the purpose of religion. What is the purpose of what you are following? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Krishna's personal incarnation, he came down to preach this message that all of us as spirit souls belong to God. We are connected to God intimately. We're supposed to develop love of God. Because right now that love is being distributed, divided in so many ways. We love our family, we love our country, we love our so many things, and that love is getting, where is that love coming from originally? That love is coming originally from our original love to Krishna, to God. That love is being distorted, diverted, divided, and we are actually going on material existence, material world, taking different bodies. That is the secret of this whole existence. So Prabhupada says we are not to change anybody's faith or following or any type of conversion, as people say. Basically, all these conversions are for men or people who have no particular social status, because they are so much being harassed and they are so much being exploited from the society right now that they just want to come out of that particular type of a life and want to have a better life. So for them, these conversions are very nice, appealing. So Prabhupada says, but everyone will be interested in understanding the philosophy and science of God and taking it seriously. Ultimately, we have to understand that there is a supreme controller, supreme personality, God, whom we have to follow and we have to love him. That is the whole purpose of life. Prabhupada concludes, one should clearly understand that the Krishna Consciousness movement is not preaching the so-called Hindu religion. So Prabhupada began with this point and he's ending his essay by writing that one should clearly understand that the Krishna Consciousness movement is not preaching the so-called Hindu religion. Rather, Prabhupada says, we are giving a spiritual culture that can solve all the problems of life, and therefore it is being accepted all over the world. Right? So it's a spiritual culture, divine culture. Right? It's not a sect or religion or a cult. That's the understanding. So with this, we conclude this wonderful topic, whether Krishna consciousness is a religion or a cult, Hindu religion or something like that. No, it is a divine culture, as Prabhupada says, a cultural movement meant to revive our actual situation as spirit soul and come back to our original status as spirit souls. Right now, we have forgotten that and we are misidentifying ourselves with this body and going on in the material world for so many millions of lives. I conclude here. Anybody has anything to ask, discuss, comment, can take up a few.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Hare Krishna. Patai. Please tell.
Obviously, I have a little doubt about this Brahmanism. As you mentioned in one point, that Brahman is not any caste, it is the degree or graduation kind of thing.
Yes.
And another thing, how can we explain the word Brahman in the caste system?
See, first of all, the aspect of caste is nowhere existing in the Vedic culture. This caste system is all modern introduction. The Vedic system was the society is divided, human society is divided into 4 social divisions. Social division means based on your ability, inclination to work, right? And your capability to work, you are classified in a particular social status, right? You maybe you are capable of doing a business activity better, right? Then you are called a Vaishya. So this classification of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra is not actually caste. It's like when you say, oh, doctor is a caste. Do you say that? No. Engineer is a caste. No. We don't say, a businessman is a caste. No. We say it is a profession or it's a qualification which a person has got or acquired because of his inclination, because of his he wants to do work in that way. Because all of us as living entities, we are going through what is known as the karma cycles in our so many lifetimes, and we have been going through those karma cycles. Why? Because we have been desiring many things. And these desires are manifested in specific life forms, and especially when you get a human form, you are born with a particular nature. Nature means quality, right? Sometimes people, a person is born with a very mild nature, soft nature, gentle nature, soft-spoken. Right? Somebody is born with a very aggressive nature, very passionate nature. So all these things are something which is, we can see people of different types of natures or qualities. Why it is so? And also every person, nature that way is different. Why? Because the material nature having 3 modes is influencing our lives, our body, the body what we get. Material nature is giving this body to us. It's fabricated and giving it to us based on our sum total of desires and inclinations which we want to experience. Okay, so that being the case, this conception of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra as a caste is totally ruled out from Vedic conception. Caste basically means, means that actually, see, in one sense, the modern day society, for example, if you say doctor is a caste, group of doctors, they have a caste. So whenever you are born, you are called a caste. Okay, that is not the way. Say, as Prabhupada explains in one of the, in one of his teachings, that one's forefather may be a Brahmana according to a Gotra or the family hereditary order. Right? Just like we have Vaidya family. Right? I got your point, what you want to ask. Sometimes somebody is called Vaidya or somebody is called, Vaishya. Vaidya means doctor. Vaishya means, a businessman. Yeah, that may be. But in the Vedic system, maybe many people in the family would be inclined to do business or inclined to take up the profession of a Vaidya. Definitely, you are born in the family of a doctor, you also would like to take up the profession of a doctor. Right? But that doesn't mean that you become a doctor just because you are born in that family. No. You have to acquire necessary qualification. I'll give a very simple, short story which Prabhupada explains about one person by name Satyakama Jabali. Satyakama Jabali, based on him, he has written an Upanishad, Jabala Upanishad. So he, when he wanted to take up the Vedic training of understanding Vedic literatures, he approached one Rishi by name Gautama Rishi. At a time, you have to approach a sage or a qualified personality to understand Vedic literatures, right? So when he approached, first question Gautama Rishi asked this boy, Satyakama Jabali, is, who is your father? This Jabali didn't know who is his father. So he came back to his mother and asked, Mother, who is my father? The mother said, I don't know, because I had connection with so many men, and with whom you are born, I am not sure. So this boy came back and gave the same response to the Rishi, Gautama Rishi, and I don't know. My mother doesn't know who is my father, and she had many connections. This is something little, very not very, honorable, or it is little, it is demeaning with regard to telling that, oh, I don't know my father, right? Whereas this boy came and just mentioned whatever his mother told him. So this Rishi immediately accepted him as a disciple. Why? Because this boy had the quality of truthfulness. It is very essential for a Brahmana. That is the first quality of a Brahmana. Brahmana means a spiritual guide should have this quality of truthfulness. Satya. That is the first quality Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita. He is truthful. He has control of his mind. So then he got trained. Similarly, when Prabhupada went to America and he started preaching about the Krishna conscious philosophy, he didn't have any, disciples when he went there. He was only alone. But those very hippies who didn't have any background of Vedic culture, Vedic understanding, Bhagavad Gita understanding, they are all coming to him. They're all drug addicts, freely mixing with each other as boys and girls. But they are all coming and trying to sincerely hear Prabhupada and want to follow what Prabhupada wants to say. So Prabhupada said, your qualification of sincerity has transformed all of you. Those very boys and girls, youth, were all drug addictions, have done all sorts of abominable things. They all transformed. So it is again, in anybody's life, one can transform into a better status with regard to the social status of being a guide or an administrator or anything, right? So this aspect of caste by birth is what Prabhupada is, condemning here, and that is what Vedic literatures also condemn, because that is something which is, even though a person doesn't have a qualification of that particular social order, but you claim to be that, that is what is, is a problem. That is what is creating sort of disturbance in society, discrepancy in society. So the conclusion here is that the Brahmana is not a caste, whereas it has been watered down like that. We have been propagated again and again. Just like when the Mughals were ruling, they changed many of the names of the different the cities and so many other places to different Mughal names. Right now, even now, because it has been going on for centuries, so we think, oh, that is what the name is. Just like Lucknow, I recently came to know, it is Lakshmanpura. Okay, Lucknow real name is Lakshmanpura. There was very close to Lucknow is Ayodhya, just 130 kilometers. So Lakshman used to live in this place. Whereas unless we get into history, what is the name, what was the original name? It's like Allahabad is that's the name which everybody knows, but actually the Vedic name of that place is Prayag. So like this, the conception with which, or the point with which you are bringing this question is, the Brahmana, we only know it as caste. That's what we have been told. We have filled many applications from school up to our, we took up professions. And even when you apply for passport, you're asked, what is your caste? Right? I'm a Brahmin, I am a Kshatriya. You've been telling the sort that has gone deep in our consciousness, deep in our understanding. So we think, I am that. That is the problem. Right. So the Prabhupada's way of teaching is to revolutionize our thinking with regard to what is the fact, what is the actual reality. We should take things in a scientific manner. We are not going by some dogmas or some sort of a just blind thinking that yes, that is what it is. What is the reason? No reason. That is not the way. Right? Very scientifically, Prabhupada is explaining. Right? When you say yourself as a Brahmana, qualify. You're supposed to be qualified by that name. If you say yourself as a doctor, are you qualified to be called yourself a doctor? No. Then don't call yourself a doctor. That's the point. I hope I have conveyed the message or rather answered your question.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, it is very much clear, Prabhuji.
Thank you, sir.
That means, Prabhuji, can I say that the Varnashrama system, what was implied by Lord, it was based on this logic?
Exactly. That is the exact principle, not logic, principle. Narada Muni says in Bhagavata, Yasya lakshanam proktam, pumso varnavi venjakam. He says, whatever lakshana means whatever type of a inclination, quality you see in a person, you please categorize that person in that varna. I'll give one more wonderful example. One incarnation of Krishna by name Lord Rishabhadeva, who was born, who was there many ages ago. So he had 100 sons. Out of his 100 sons, 81 sons became Brahmana. See, how can a king's son become Brahmana? Right. Then 9 sons became sannyasis, paramahamsas. Right. Only few of them became kshatriyas. One father, but many sons, taking up, because based on the inclination. Right. One more example, Vishwamitra. We know Vishwamitra as a Muni, but before he became a Muni, he was a Kshatriya. He was a king. So he performed austerities, he performed great tapasyas, and he became a rishi, sage, which means he became a Brahmana by qualification. Whereas in Krishna consciousness, we won't call ourselves Brahmanas, we call ourselves Vaishnavas, because Vaishnava is above all these designations. Okay, because again, modern society, whatever you say, present day society, whatever you say, that caste, we are biased with that word caste so much that it always comes. It always comes. Just like when you say lock, oh, Godrej. Right? Yes. From birth, we have been trying Godrej lock. Lock may be different brand also, no? Like that. So we are biased with some pre-notions. And we have been projecting our thinking in that way. That is the problem. Present society.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes, got it. Thank you so much.
Prabhuji, I have a small doubt, Prabhuji.
Please go ahead.
Yeah. Prabhuji, we are talking about Chaturashram, Brahman, Kshatriya, then Vaishya and Shudra. Then why Vaishnava is not there, Prabhuji?
Vaishnava is beyond all this Chaturvarna, Varnashrama. Because Vaishnava means he is topmost, is above all these divisions. Because when you become Vaishnava, you transcend everything. You go above everything. You are not designating yourself, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, I am not a Brahmana, I am not a Kshatriya, I am not a Vaishya, I am not a Shudra, I am not a Brahmachari. He says, like this goes on. He says, what I am? I am Gopi Bhartu Padakamalayo Dasa Dasa Dasam Dasa. I am eternal servant of the pure devotees of Krishna Gopis. That is my actual identity. So this Varnashrama is again with nothing, something is better. People say right now they don't have any claim. What you are, I don't have any identity as such from the Vedic perspective. The Vedic perspective is to tell you, based on these inclinations, your identity is so and so. And in this identity, your duties are so and so. And in these duties, you do such a way that you finally come to the level of understanding Krishna and loving Krishna. Whatever it is, whatever Varna Ashrama you are in, come to love Krishna. Vaishnava means already is loving Krishna and Krishna's devotee so much that he considers himself to be a very simple, humble servant of devotees of Krishna. So he has transcended all these designations. So Vaishnava is beyond all these material designations. Does you understand? Yes.
Prabhuji, can you sing this sloka, Das, Dasanudasa? It's a very beautiful sloka.
Okay.
Just now, Vaishnava definition.
Yes. So the Vaishnava, this definition is, in fact, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu quoted this verse very often. He says, Gopi Bhartu Padakamalayor. Means, the Gopi Bhartu is whom? Gopi Bharta is Krishna. Gopi's most beloved personality is Krishna. So the Gopi Bhartu Padakamalayor, those who are serving Krishna's lotus feet. Gopi Padakamalayor Dasa Dasanudasa. So my identification is that I am servant of servant. Prabhupada says 100 times servant of the devotees of Krishna who are serving Krishna so nicely. Because in the material world, all of us want to become master, boss. Devotee means, Vaishnava means he's always taking himself humble position of I am a servant. Material world, oh, I am the master, I am this director, I am manager, I am managing director. Like this, we go on giving our designations and positions. Material world, that is how it is. Spiritual world means you are the lowest of the lowest servant. That is the feeling, genuine feeling that devotee has, Vaishnava has. Okay? Fine.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Fine. Thank you.
I first listened this sloka during emergency time.
Acha, okay.
That was a very unique time. Maybe in some joke or some sort of comment, but it was really, at that time I was studying the realization, self-realization book of Iskcon.
Very nice.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. So thank you everybody for participating in this session. Let's continue.